Welcome back, guys. Podcast number 32. If I think so. Chris, is that right?
I believe so.
All right. He believes so. So 32. What's up? What's going on?
Yeah, yeah. Guess what I did this week?
Mowed clover again.
I mowed clover again. You
You
knew
got
it.
you got issues mowing clover. You're
I got
addicted
a
to
lot
it.
of clover. I got a lot of clover.
You're addicted.
Yep. I just keep jumping from area to area and mow it.
Growing like weeds.
Yeah. I mean, when the heads go brown, I mow it and spread that seed.
You still getting
Free
rain?
free seed. Nah, I'm done with rain.
It's
Possibly
been
Friday.
a little dry here.
Yeah, it's been dry.
Yeah.
We're getting a lot of dew on the grass though, so
Mm-hmm.
everything's looking real healthy. I sprayed some foiler feeding on those plots too.
Mm-hmm.
Did some IMOX spraying on some clover too.
Nice.
Hung a camera over at the destination plot because every time I go over there, there's a bunch of critters out and they all spook. So tired of spooking them, so I went over and hung a camera.
Nice.
I only
Well,
spook. I'll spook them once a week now.
hunting
Instead,
season hunting season's right around the corner.
yeah, I gotta quit spooking them because there's a
Yeah.
pretty decent 8 point running around here.
You got a bear hunt coming up?
Got a bear hunt coming up September.
Yeah. We got a sick of deer hunt coming up.
Sick of deer hunt coming up October.
Yeah. I got to get a new scope from a muzzleloader.
Again?
I didn't get one yet.
What?
I got to
What?
get one.
What happened to it?
I missed a buck.
Ugh. So you took the scope off?
Now I'm getting a new one.
Operator error.
Probably.
Shot it in the horn.
Yeah. Shot it in the horn. I'm upset. Got to get a new one.
What
Today,
else? What else you upset about, Dave? Tell us. Tell us what you're upset about. You got someone asking you questions about some tomfoolery.
yeah. So I want to talk about everybody listening. I don't like um, anything that's done. Let's just say it. I don't like anything that's done half-ass. I don't like it. There's shortcuts that we can take. There's band-aids that you can use. But why do it that way? You know, I mean, we've all done weird stuff. Put a band-aid on something. But the past couple weeks, I've been getting questions on liquid lime.
Let's address the problem.
Let's address it. So
Yeah.
I'm seeing this, and I'll just say it. It's coming from Sturgis. Sturgis, I don't watch his videos. I used to a very long time ago, and he has a huge influence on people. What people believe, trust him, and stuff. And what he says, people jump to it, and they do it no matter what. And people do that without thinking for themselves.
Yep.
Whatever he says, people do it.
They
And
don't.
I
They
would
don't. They don't check into anything. Don't
no,
don't
and I
research it.
nope, and I would encourage people, no matter who it is, whether it's him, me, you, whoever it is, to not take that advice and just do it. Because when somebody says something, they're typically referring to, like, maybe like it's their property or a specific area, but that may not resonate with a property that's 3 hours away, 20 minutes away. It's all completely different. But this liquid lime push is 100% a band-aid. It doesn't do anything to the soil. It may add a little bit of calcium at planting, but then once that plant calcium or whatever is absorbed, it's gone. So
Yeah, and really, how much calcium do you really need?
right,
Just calcium.
yeah,
You
right,
know, because what you're after is the calcium carbonate.
hmm
That is truly what lime. That is what's going to raise your pH.
right. And apparently, I read into plot start or boost, whatever it's called. I read into it a little bit, and it's actually not even. It doesn't even change the pH. apparently it supposedly changes the chemistry of the soil to allow the plants to uptake nutrients when you have a low pH.
Hmm.
Whether that does it or not, I don't know. I really don't care, but I want people to have success and not look to band-aids on things. Like why why would you why would you spray that every time you plant when you could add lime once and be done for
Yeah.
several years? So why don't we fix the actual problem? There's two ways to fix that. One is you can do all this true no-till stuff, and the soil can correct itself if you have 5, 6, 7 years, right? The second method would be to add lime, add synthetic fertilizer, and correct it in a year to two.
Hmm.
Which route do you want to go? Not everybody has a no-till drill. Um, Not everybody has 5 to 7 years. Some people lease property that's only, for say 1 to 3 year lease or something. Who has 7 years? Now, if you own the property and you want to get into more of like an organic farming practice of no-till and things, it works for sure. It just takes time. Me, I want it fixed. Like I'm just going to add the lime to correct the actual soil pH issue, and then add the synthetic fertilizer until the number and improving organic matter by, incorporating green manure into the soil, and I can build that number up and build the soil up over the next couple years, and then you just have to maintain it basically.
I just want to throw a note in there too.
Yeah, what's your note?
My note is, Pell lime in a bag
Hmm.
also also is a short term thing. I
Hmm.
mean, it's better than this spray calcium,
Yeah.
um, but it's costly. It's a lot of work, and it will deplete itself if you do nothing with it. Say you put a ton or two on some place, and in a couple of years, it's going to be like depleted back to the point where like you never did anything.
Hmm.
So in the instance I had going across the road there, I got a lag truck, an ag truck in there. Got an ag truck in there with real ag lime,
Hmm.
and that really spruced things up for me, and that truly fixed me for a while.
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
and if the old man's still living, why, in another year or two, I'll probably have him back. He can
Yeah. Right.
spread it again. But yeah, as a note, yeah, adding lime's great. Real lime, calcium carbonate, um, that is great. Do the recommendations, do the soil test, and get that lime on. But the calcium carbonate or the calcium spray, I'm sorry, the calcium spray is worse Band-Aid than Pell lime.
Yeah, I mean, everybody wants a quick fix, and that's the way life is right now. Everything's, they just want something, some gimmick or something to fix their problems, and people are jumping to liquid lime. Like I'm not doing it. I'm going to fix the problem at the root of the problem, and that's low
Yeah,
pH. You add the lime to fix it. You
yeah,
fix the pH, because when you fix the pH and you bring that number up to more of a neutral number, those plants can be fed year round. When you start spraying the calcium or this other product that apparently changes the chemistry of the soil, I mean, how long does that last, right?
right,
You're not fixing any problem.
right.
Let's go back to the basics
Now,
and fix the problem.
I'm sure there's probably some agricultural company out there that actually makes a slurry with real calcium carbonate,
Hmm.
ag lime or something. And they probably have a slurry and it's mixed up and you can water it down and you could probably spray it. And that's probably legit. But I don't think these products that are being offered to food plotters, I don't think there's too much legitimacy in them.
Now, obviously, any kind of actual legit ag product is going to be better than some, you know, food plot.
Well,
fertile.
then you're gonna get somebody saying, "Well, we're just feeding the deer. You know, we're not row cropping."
Right, when you
Yeah,
don't.
yeah, you're right, but why? Why would you do that to yourself? You
Mhm.
know,
Yeah, if you have a
because why not fix it now and be good for 3, 4 years
right.
instead of spraying this garbage on it every year? That's gotta be costly coming in a bucket, 5 gallon bucket or whatever. You know.
It's over 100 and some dollars every. I mean, depending how much you spray, but it's over 100, well over $100 to spray a plot. Um, you could add $100 of lime to that same size plot and
Yeah.
benefit way more.
What's a bag of Pell lime right now?
I
five
don't
bucks.
I think 458 I saw at Tractor Supply. Um,
We was getting a pallet, what, a ton for $200.
yeah, I think that's
That
a
was
thing.
that was pre-COVID though.
That's a thing of the past there.
Yeah, it's probably
Um,
300 now.
probably. But yeah, I mean, you have to be careful with, these products like that, these gimmicks, and I'm not saying whatever it is a gimmick. I'm just saying it's not the correct way to go about doing stuff like that. You know what I mean? They, if you have, say, a little eighth acre plot or something, just I don't know. I mean, I guess if you can't get to the plot, but if you can get to the plot by a four wheeler, you can spread lime.
Oh yeah,
You know what I
we've
mean?
proved
People,
that.
right? I mean, people say, "Oh, I can't get no equipment to my plot." What do you need to get to? Get what do you
Man,
need
we
to?
had we had what, like 10 bags strapped to our racks,
Yeah, I mean,
10 each,
right. I mean, there's
20 at a
always
time.
a way to do it. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
I mean, are you gonna jump on the liquid lime train here?
Me personally,
Yeah.
no.
Okay.
It's a hard pass, but no.
Yeah. I mean, we got to get back to the basics, guys, with this food plot stuff. I mean, each year, somebody or a company make comes out with something to make it a little bit easier. Well, how easy do you need it to? I mean, just do the right thing. And by us saying to add lime, we don't benefit from that. I don't care what you use. I just want people to have good success because that will prevent people sending me dozens of emails each year. Hey, I tried this gimmick or this, and I did the buckwheat crimping method, and not like nothing. My stuff didn't germinate. Well,
Yeah.
I can't help you. Like we were just talking about this before we started. Guy sent me or commented on a video and said I followed the buckwheat crimping, the buckwheat method, and I wanted to crimp it over top of my seed and all this stuff. Well, he had a storm come through, blew the buckwheat down, and he wanted my advice. I don't know. I don't follow that method, so I can't really help you. I can give you some advice on what to try, and I would suggest I would suggest to you that you don't follow that method. You know what I mean? I mean, buck,
You're a
buckwheat.
hater. You're a
No,
hater.
no. It's frustrating that people follow somebody's advice, it fails, and then they look to somebody else how to help them.
Right.
Go with the basics. Buckwheat is a great crop to plant, but as far as crimping it, who has a crimper? You know what I mean? I don't have it. I mean, just mow it and
Right.
lightly disc it, like it or drag it. Use one of me and you bought it. Didn't you buy one?
What's
Or
that?
did you the chain harrow drag?
Oh, my neighbor has it, and he
Yeah,
just
we
lets me
borrowed it.
borrow it. Yeah.
Right. But I
Yep.
actually bought one a couple
Yep.
years ago, and it was one of the best things I've ever bought.
Hmm.
You don't Most of the time you don't even need to disc the ground. You just drag it,
Yep.
just lightly, and
Just
especially
scratch it.
right if you're doing the buckwheat method, it keeps your soil kind of soft underneath. And if you were to just mow that or something and just drag it back and forth, it's just going to be enough to loosen that soil up in order for you to throw some seed out, especially
Mm,
brassica seeds. Brassica seeds you don't have to do much.
no.
No, if you're planting like beans or something, then yeah, like you got to get that um, seed covered up. But brassica, man, you could just throw that right on top of the soil. Any
Yep.
kind of loose soil, it's going to germinate
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
100%.
You could spill it. You could spill it on a sidewalk, and as long as there's some dirt near it and it gets
That's it.
wet,
Hmm.
it'll sprout.
Yeah, it's going to germinate.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, just be careful. And I see each year, I see more and more failures. And the failures, once you talk to the people, and I see it on clients too. I'll go to clients and they're like, "Hey, I tried so and so's method, or I tried it this way,
Yeah.
and everything failed."
Hmm.
And I sit there and spend time with them and explain to them, just go back to the basics of farming or planting a garden. Go back to the basics, and you'll have success. And then I get messages from them throughout the year, say, "Hey, I did it this method, and it worked great."
Yeah, I'm 100% old school conventional.
Me too.
I break ground, I disc it, you know.
Hmm. And there's new ways of doing things.
Well, I
There's
don't do anything special. I mean,
yeah.
I don't have any special tools
I mean,
other than my tractor to break the ground.
yeah. I mean,
But some people
there's
don't have that even.
right. There's high end, stuff out there. You got the drills, you got the high end crimpers, and that stuff, it works. It does work, but you
Mhm.
don't need to do that. Now,
Nope.
unless you are, like I said, you want to, like, you have something against, synthetics. Some people like to keep things, more of a, organic, wa- organic system where you're not using synthetic fertilizers, and that stuff, that's a great way to be. But again, we're talking about a food plot. You know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
how organic do you need that food plot to be? Like, I see people that only plants like 2-3 acres or something, and they're making posts online. I gotta have a crimper. I gotta have a crimper. Like, what do you need a crimper for if you're only planting like that's just like a waste. Like, you
Yeah.
don't need to do it that way.
Well,
Each
they're worshiping
person,
somebody.
yes, each situation has, like, you it's different for everybody. If you're out there planting, like, you're into big farming, and you're, planting dozens of acres, and you need a faster system, you know, a no-till drill might be the way to go. It's quick, you can spray and just drill right through your previous crop and kill it. Um, but I don't, there's a situation for, or a method for each situation, but just be careful with the liquid lime, man. I mean, it can fail you.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I going back to being so conventional. When I started food plotting down here below the house, I didn't have anything. Literally nothing. I had a riding lawnmower, and that's
Hmm.
what I put a plot in with. I
Hmm.
literally I went down, cut some trees down, made some light, went in with a weed whacker because the ferns were as high as my waist. Weed whacked all the ferns down. And then I went through and got rid of any rocks that I could run over with the riding mower that would kill my blades. And I went in with the riding mower and got as close to the ground as I could.
Hmm.
And then I took, I think, a piece of chain and an old uh, pallet, and I drug that around just like you would a chain harrow. I drug that around till I had all the dirt exposed and the grass drug off, and I didn't use chemicals back then or anything. I think I bought, because it's maybe a 16th of an acre down there. I don't
Yeah,
know.
it's pretty small.
It's pretty small. So I think I got a bag of, back then, I think it was 10 10 10 or something, and a bag of lime, one of each. And I spread it out with the seed and ran over it with the tires on the mower. And I had nice plots. Now, was my pH correct? Probably not. Was my fertility correct? Probably not. But we're talking 12 years ago, and I didn't know what I was doing. And everybody starts somewhere. But nowadays, there's a plethora of information out there, and we're just pointing out something. People are going to be butthurt over what we just talked about
Hmm.
with the liquid lime, but we're pointing out some stuff that is kind of gimmicky, if you will. Um, I don't know. Yeah, it'll get you through this this fall probably, but you need to plan ahead because what you do now is going to benefit you later. And if you're just putting a Band-Aid on it now, guess what? You're going to have a wound in the spring.
Yeah,
That was
I
pretty
agree.
cool, huh? A Band-Aid wound. You see what I did
Yeah,
there?
look what you did.
Look what I did.
Um, yeah, I mean, I agree with that. Like I said, everything is getting easier and easier for people each year. You know, a gimmick here, gimmick there. But when you, no matter what it is, really, but if you always go back to the basics, it's usually people overthink things, take
Yeah.
too many steps. Like I had this guy last year that sent me dozens of emails, and he was desperate for help.
Hmm.
He said, um, he he sprayed like some kind, like all like three or four different chemicals. He sprayed some liquid lime. He sprayed some kind of liquid fertilizer. He sprayed something else. He planted this seed on top of this seed on top of this seed. He rolled it. He crimped it. He disked. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Like you just sprayed dozens of things on this soil. Like no wonder nothing's growing. Like you don't need to do that.
Yeah. Has to, has to be some kind of residual there.
Yes. I mean, I just get stuff like that all the time
Hurting.
where people overthink it. And if you really like if you go to like these Facebook forums and stuff, if you really scroll through there, majority of people have good looking food plots,
Yeah.
right? Like how many people do you get that message you say, "Hey, I planted domain products," or they comment, they post photos on like domain's posts and stuff, like
Yeah.
pictures of their food plots.
Right.
They look beautiful.
Yeah.
And if you look at what that person did to plant that food plot, what do you see? And we didn't talk about this. What do you see?
What do you see?
Like
Majority of the times they did conventional till.
yes, they did conventional till, and they have a beautiful stand of brassica or whatever it is that they're
But see,
planting.
that's why we like to educate and represent domain because they do basic things that work. We do basic things that work. That's why we get along with those folks.
Hmm.
That's why they like what we do. That's why we have a good relationship and we can represent them because they know we're putting out educational stuff like this that will only help them in the long run. We're not telling someone to grab domain seed and put it in a no-till drill or something,
Hmm.
which I'm sure it can be done. But
Yeah.
do you think that's what they do in Wisconsin? Absolutely not.
Hmm.
Maybe out in a field somewhere on an ag field, but
I mean,
majority of hunters are putting something in the woods or on the edge of a field.
yeah. Let's bring this up real quick. Yeah, me and you work with Domain, but let's bring up another seed company. Let's bring up Whitetail
Uh,
Institute.
sure.
The main guy that represents them,
Hmm.
named Jason.
Hmm.
How does he plant his food plots?
He does everything conventional.
Conventional.
He uses a four wheeler
ATV disc.
ATV disc, ATV. Oh boy, what's them rippers? The
It's like
tooth
the
rip.
chisel plow.
Chisel plow. Yeah, he has chisel plow behind the ATV, and he's only got a 500cc ATV, so you don't
Hmm.
need something huge, you know. But that's what he does. Then he has a
He
pull. He has a pull behind mower.
drag.
He
Yeah,
has a pull behind.
yeah,
Everything he has is a pull behind conventional
yeah.
tilling.
I've had conversations with him, and what does he do? He follows the basics. He gets a
Yeah.
Whitetail Institute soil sample.
Yep.
He spreads lime accordingly, synthetic fertilizer accordingly. He discs the ground,
Yep.
controls the weeds, spraying whatever they use over there, and then he discs it, fertilizes, and seeds beautiful food
Yep.
plots.
If he has any weeds, he
Yep.
mows.
Mows. I follow soil samples. I spread lime. I follow fertilizer recommendations. I disc. I plant my seed. I have beautiful food plots each year. You follow soil samples. You spread lime, or in your case, add a lime truck, fertilizer. Disc, chisel plow, drag, whatever.
Yeah.
Beautiful food plots.
Yeah.
So the guys, if you follow that on social media, look at the pictures of people's food plots that look good.
Yeah.
They are doing traditional methods to where they follow the basics. You
Yeah.
start at the step one and you work your way through it and you can have success. Now, the guys that are failing at this stuff are trying all these weird methods. And I'm not saying they don't work because they can work, but
Yeah.
it throws wrenches into things because if you do say like the buckwheat crimper roller whatever method it is, if you plant that too thick, I've seen it. I've seen it on clients' properties. I've seen it. If you plant it too many seeds per acre with the buckwheat, more than 50 or 60 pounds per acre, and you roll it, you seed and you roll it over, it is too much thatch for them seeds to push up through, and it becomes all that seed you put in there that should have been covered, say, just for an example, a half acre, you get sprigs of stuff that come up through because it's so much thatch on there that can't get sun. It's too thick for the seed to push through, and it fails. You
Yeah.
know it. You know it
Yeah. I don't. I've done it. I've done it here at the house. I tried their buckwheat method, no till stuff,
as a test.
and as a test, and I got it to work, but
You mowed
it.
yours.
Yes, I did. I went in and mowed high with the brush hog. I
You
mowed
seeded and then
high.
mowed hide.
Yes, and then I went in and mowed a little lower. That way, the thatch wasn't so stinking thick.
Hmm.
That it was going to smother. Like when you go out and mow your grass in your yard, if you wait too long to mow your grass and you go out and it's all clumpy and in a week later, you go out and look where those clumps are laying. It's all brown and yellowed underneath those
Yeah,
big clumps. That's what
100%.
essentially what you're doing to your food plot. You're putting a big yellow and brown mat over top
Hmm.
your food plot, and
Yeah,
you get very little coming through.
yeah,
I'm not saying it's impossible to happen, but more than likely you're going to smother it.
yeah. And the other thing with the buckwheat too is buckwheat is a short growing crop. I mean, 5 weeks, 6 weeks tops, before it starts getting seeds. Well, if it's like this high and it starts to get seed heads on it, and you mow it, crimp it, whatever, it's just going to reseed itself. And then you're getting volunteer, buckwheat to come up
Too
through,
heavy,
which
very
I,
heavy.
I love planting buckwheat, but not for some kind of no-till or roller or crimper method. I
Yeah,
use it and incorporate it back into the soil for green manure because has high moisture content and
yeah.
deer eat it too when it's young and tender. But um, so think about that, guys. When you're scrolling through social media and it's like, oh man, this guy has a beautiful food plot. Ask yourself why it looks that way. Send that person a message. Say, hey, what did you do to for that plot to look like that? And again, I'm not saying that buckwheat crimping and doesn't work because it will, but it throws more wrenches into the mix, especially if you haven't done it before. Most times you're probably going to fail. It's going to fail. But if you go back to the basics, it works.
100%.
That's my speech to guys that keep continuously failing.
You're
Stop
on a
looking,
rant.
yeah, stop looking at gimmicks, go back to the basics, and you'll have success. I feel better.
He's done ranting.
I feel better.
I can't really add anything more to that. I think we beat that horse.
We did. I think it's accurate. You agree?
That- yeah.
All
Episode
right.
32 done.
Episode 32 done, guys.
don't put band-aids on your plot.
Go back to the basics, step by step.